Hi, this is Jessica Green, and welcome to me and Mia Wells's Curriculum Slam. We are teaching third grade art, and we are using the applications of VCAE, which is deconstructing advertisements, and our big idea is stereotypes. The focus of this lesson is for the students to explore and identify gender stereotypes that exist within toy and video game advertisements. This lesson will introduce students to VCAE by using the practical application of deconstructing advertisements to develop visual literacy and higher order thinking skills. This lesson will not only introduce young learners to gender stereotypes that exist within media, but will also challenge their critical thinking skills to create a toy advertisement that does not encompass the notions of gender. What we would like the students to be able to do by the end of the lesson is to have a clear understanding of what gender stereotypes are and how they exist within targeted advertisements. By using the VCAE application of deconstructing advertisements, the students will be able to identify and discuss the implied notions of gender that are intentionally designed for toy advertisements. The goal of this lesson is to help the young learners be able to identify ideas of gender stereotypes that are displayed through the media at a young age and to understand how this can be harmful. The students will be challenged to use their critical thinking skills to abolish these stereotypes by creating a gender-neutral toy advertisement for a random toy that will be assigned to each Zoom breakout room. And here is the listed TEK for this lesson. The students will analyze advertisements looking for indicators of gender-targeted strategies in order to make their own neutral product advertisement. Students will identify gender stereotypes and use their knowledge to describe how it influences toy advertising. Students will create an advertisement on paper using colored pencils, markers, and anything else they have on hand without using gender stereotypes to illustrate their knowledge of how those stereotypes play a part in persuading viewers. For the prior knowledge, students will be asked in the beginning of class during a whole class discussion on Zoom to recall where they have seen and experienced advertisements before. Then they will be asked to remember a time when an advertisement made them want to buy something and why. This will activate the students' learning by recalling prior experiences with advertisements before the lesson begins. For the anticipatory set, to gain the students' attention in this topic, we will use the tools of VTS as an introduction to the lesson. This will allow the students to discover how to look at toy advertisements from a different perspective to find hidden notions of gender stereotypes. This part of the lesson includes the engage section of the 5E model. The discipline that is employed for this section is art criticism, as the students will examine and discuss the visual elements of the example advertisements. So for the procedures, the teacher will start off the Zoom lesson by asking questions to the students, which will answer in the chat, and then VTS will be used to engage the students. This will occur by showing 3 different advertisements, which we'll show in the next slide, and we'll ask the same 3 questions for each image, and those questions are: what do you see, what do you think this is for, and why? And the students will type their response into the chat. Then the students will be presented with 2 images of toy advertisements that are gender neutral, and they'll discuss in their small groups why these advertisements appear to be gender neutral. The next part of the lesson contains the PowerPoint, which will teach the lesson in all the vocabulary terms to the students through Zoom. And each of the 4 groups will then be sent a link to the picture of the toys that are pictured in the next slide. And the students will grab a sheet of paper and coloring tools, whatever they have on hand, to create a gender-neutral advertisement for their toy. And then after the students complete their advertisement, they are asked to present their work to the class by holding it up to the camera. Here are the advertisements that will be shown during the lesson. Here are the vocabulary terms for the lesson. Learners will be assessed at several points throughout the lesson. After the concepts and vocabulary have been introduced, The teacher will look for vocabulary usage in students' responses to the products presented to them and assess whether they are understanding and using tools and concepts appropriately. Teachers will join different group rooms as the students are making their own advertisements to check for confusion. The summative assessment for this lesson will be at the end of the product of the student-made advertisements and end of the module assessments. Student projects will be assessed for understanding in the use of concepts including gender stereotypes, advertising, and gender neutrality. We will modify the lesson and accommodations for the individual student needs according to the mandated IEP or 504 plans. The assignment will be modified by providing the necessary students with a slightly different prompt that will still offer the critical thinking skills of VCAE. This prompt will ask the students to create an advertisement for the assigned toy that would make them want to purchase the toy. This will allow the students to use their favorite colors and design elements to create a visually compelling toy advertisement for themselves. The students will be assigned to 4 random breakout rooms during the lesson to discuss 2 images. These are the same breakout rooms that will be assigned for the advertisement assignment. The students will work independently to each create their toy advertisement. However, they are encouraged to discuss ideas and questions with their groups. Here are the learning styles. The visual learners, the PowerPoint will illustrate both the gender stereotypes in action and the vocabulary and concepts of the lesson. The auditory learners, the advertisements will be analyzed out loud in an open discussion. And for the kinetic learners, individual advertisements will be created hands-on with pencils and markers.